I just, so I'm working with Amazon now, and I just got yelled at for being too controlling by our whole team.
That's right.
And so I'm wondering, Bob Weir, how is it that you were able to bring in all these different people? I'm the most recent one of them, and have people do things not, and how sort of relinquish control. Like, how did you because there was no control, say, over our documentary, and you just trusted us to, you know, tell the story exactly how we wanted to. And my question to you, Weir, is how do you silence that side of your brain that wants everything done exactly how you would do it, and instead be part of a team at play, the way you guys did?
First things first, you come to the realization that the whole point of working with other folks is that together you're going to come up with stuff that you wouldn't come up with
Right.
on your own. And then when you put a group of people, of the right kind of people together, then the understanding is that we're coming up with something that none of us quite has a handle on. None of us
Right.
quite understands. And therefore, we have to be way open. And then working from there, stuff happens.
Cool. Natascha, step into the light. Let's all scooch over this way. Yeah. Well, just, so we're all. So,
I'd like to say something to what you just said, Amir.
Hell,
Because you wouldn't listen to us anyway, you hard-headed son of a gun.
I did listen to you.
And we knew one thing, that when we did this with you, that we had to entrust you with the final saying. And you were brilliant to use the Frankenstein thing. I told you that before. If anybody in the audience here made a movie about the Grateful Dead, it would be different. It would be Frankenstein together in a different way. I sat there watching so many things ran through my mind that were background to everything you saw there, that you could never get it all, in that way. But I just want people to know, and Bob can tell you this too. You like this shirt? And we tried everything with Jerry. Don't ever think that we didn't. And, I was with him the last day of his life, Bob was too, and we know that it wasn't so simple a fact of the burden of carrying the Grateful Dead that took him down. It wasn't that. Don't believe that. He had some real health problems. He didn't like doctors. He never went to doctors.
What's the negativity about? Talk about how awesome he did. What's this movie? There's so much negativity.
Yeah, I agree with you on some of that.
Positive about what much energy and love he brought. There's so much negativity in that movie. Where's the love out? How much why we're here? How much we love him?
Yeah. I thought there was plenty of love in that movie. It was just honest about what happened at the end. But Bob, I wanted to ask you a question. What have you learned since Jerry died that you feel is one of the most important lessons that you've learned about life, actually?
Well, I've learned since Jerry checked out the same lesson that I was learning all the time that I was playing with him or around him. I learned life's most basic elemental lesson: left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Follow your path. It's kind of I don't want to sound overly instructive here, but it's kind of an exercise in faith. But it's it's also that faith can be about as real as the place you go when you dream.
Yeah.
And where you go when you dream is every bit as real as the place, when you're there. I mean, where else are you? You're there.
Yeah.
And everything that happens to you in your dreams is a full experience.
Yeah.
And so that faith is yet another place.
Yeah.
Once you lock in with that and you find that if you just follow your intuition and your best intuitions and follow your better angels and follow your footsteps, after a while you learn that some people quicker than others, but after a while you learn that all right, this feels right.
Yeah.
And that becomes a reality. And it's in and of itself every bit as much as what we call reality or dream reality.
Yeah. That's great. Thanks, Bob. Would you guys rather talk to each other or take questions from?
No, I still want to answer his question about, you know, the negativity, that it's really what you feel in your heart. If you think all that you saw in that film ends negative, you're wrong. If you think,
Well, he's right for the end.
I can't hear you.
There was the word love in that movie. I didn't think I heard the word love in that movie. How much energy and love, like why are you here now? Love, we're still here 30 years.
It was all about love. It was all about love, man.
It was, yeah.
You missed the whole point.
The whole movie dealt with love, and unfortunately there were a lot of facts there too, and you didn't let the facts get in the way of love.
Well, love is hard, you know, it's not ever easy.
Yeah, it's real.
Love is
Western Hampton, brother.
many colored and many faceted.
Yeah, does anybody else have any questions that they'd like
Let's
to
try
ask
this
these
side
guys?
of the room.
Well, actually, let me just tell you this. Why the heck am I in that movie? I'll tell you why. Because I started standing in front of you guys when I was a little kid, and I had the most beautiful experiences of my life over decades of seeing shows. And I eventually ended up writing about it. But I just wanted to thank you because you guys worked really hard, and you worked to the edge of your ability. And
We had nothing better to do.
yeah, I had nothing better to do either, and it was beautiful. And you know, as Jerry says at the end, that Kerouac's book put him into the world. Your guys' music also put me into the world and a whole generation of people.
We're good. That was something really we knew when we were doing it. It was the greatest thing. We weren't doing it for money. We weren't doing it for anything except to bring music to people, just like you say. And that was, at the end of the day, you could really feel good about that.
Yeah.
That we tried the best music. And that's why we built that Wallace sound and all that stuff. Was to get what wasn't there.
Yeah.
Natascha, did you learn something watching this movie that you didn't already know? As somebody very close to the story?
I learned something watching the movie. Oh goodness, I missed the screening tonight.
We see
It's not a quiz.
We saw it earlier. What did I learn? No, I feel like I've heard this a lot.
Well,
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, bad.
thanks for letting us take apart your house several times over. I mean, these guys, one of the real strengths of the movie is the Weirs. And one of the things I love, you know, I was always hoping that the film didn't define the band away, you know, and you know, I was kind of instructed that if I was going to try and make this movie, that I should make it very open-ended, and that I shouldn't seek final pronouncements on one thing or another. So what you hope for is that you have people with complementary perspectives, and the truth is something above the two. And the two of you guys driving along in the Tesla talking about whether or not one should seek the meaning behind lyrics was like exact. I was sitting in there feeling like, wow, this is perfect dialectics, you know. And I think the audience, when you're talking, everybody goes, yeah, right, that's the artist's way. And then Natascha, when you say, well, actually, I always want to know, and the audience always goes, me too, yeah, you know, it's like, it's so perfect, you know, because the truth is both of the things, you know, so.
My friend David Crosby has been working with younger musicians for the last 3 albums, and it's really given him a tremendous jolt of creative juice to work with younger musicians. I know you have been too. How does it feel to go out with people who are not the Grateful Dead, who you've not been playing with for decades, but who've been inspired by that music enough to have a meaningful musical conversation with you?
Well, in a word, great. You know, it's the kind of stuff that I want to do. It's the kind of art that I want to make.
Yeah.
And there are new eyes looking at what we're, new ears listening to what we're doing, and you can't help but be sort of goosed in new directions that way, and that's, you know, so what we have, I guess what we, you know, the legacy is, it's a living legacy, and it's a creative legacy, and it wants to go on, and it wants to continue to evolve and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting when these days, and this is more or less coming from out there somewhere, you know, when I'm working with, say, Dead and Company, and a decision has to be made about this or that. I was just telling you earlier, telling Amir, there is another, you know, there are the nuts and bolts considerations about, you know, okay, how is this going to work on this next tour, or next recording, or wherever, whatever, and then there's the other consideration of what are they going to say about this in 300 years in music schools, and that, you know, it's just starting to dawn on me that if we do things right, if we get this right, that's going to be a vital topic of conversation in 300 years.
Right.
And holy shit. You know, and I may be off on that. If we do things wrong and everything gets hazy and stuff like that, then they won't be talking about it in 300 years. But if we do it right, and if we follow through, follow our footsteps in this, if this whatever it is that we've locked into, if we hold true to it, it'll hold. I'm quite sure it'll hold true to us.
Yeah.
And it'll be a vital topic of conversation in years to come.
Something else about that. Jerry, many times you say to us, "You fuck ups, what are you gonna do when I'm gone?" Remember, you say that all the time to us. He said, "I bet you they'll fall on their face." He would say that, you know, and he sort of threw that gauntlet down in a way. And I'm pretty proud of everything that goes on. All the Deadheads, all the cover bands, all the people that still find joy in that music. And you know, that's why we did it, and that's the best way.
And I don't think he thought for a minute that things would end when he ended.
He wasn't sure. He wasn't sure, but he'd be proud. He'd be damn proud of you guys. He really would.
How about we open it up to?
Well, yeah, okay. All right. Did you have something more, Bob?
Oh, yeah.
No, I'll get back to it.
Okay, all right.
I'm really slow on the downbeat with my answer. It took me that long to figure out. No, and this isn't something I learned, but this is just something I wanted to share about the film, is that the wonder of spontaneity, because Amir and I were just talking, and we hadn't, it wasn't in the plan to go up and see those tapes. We were just talking, and I said, "Hey, Amir, we were talking about storage," and I said, "Oh, we've got this storage locker. I don't know, we write the check every month. I don't know what's in there. Should we go see it?" And so we all jumped in the car with the cameras, and then that's where the London tapes were, all of this. And it had been sitting there for years, and just, you know, we could have decided not to talk about that moment, or been too tired to go, or it's just fun what little choices can change so much.
I also feel like the Grateful Dead were always a very fertile field of fruitful synchronicities. Like all these synchronicities would happen around shows, really.
But that's where that faith business works.
You know, but we didn't like people filming us. That's really true. We always thought we were doing something wrong, you know, or illegal. And it's amazing to see how much film you pulled out. You know?
It's funny. It's like
You guys wouldn't believe that Sunshine Daydream, what we put those guys through.
Yeah.
I mean, the last minute, they were taping up timers right on the pole right in front of us here, you know.
All right.
And we weren't about to let them do that. And it took years for that to come out because of other problems, you know.
It's funny to me that every time, I mean, I've done these Q&As now maybe, you know, more than a dozen times, and every time somebody asks, "What else is there in the vault?" And I think, like, only Deadheads after seeing a 4-hour movie would say, "What else is there?" You know, it's like, there's nothing else. I put it in the freaking movie, you know.
So it was to look at the outtakes from the Grateful Dead movie.
Yeah, that's in there. Yeah.
Well, some of it. I mean, there's a lot more of us putting up.
I looked through all of it. Yeah. Most people around you guys got dosed, so the cinematography goes to shit a lot of times. But okay, you hi.
Get high from watching it.
Just a brief statement before I give my question. I thought that it was epic, and I'm a longtime fan of the band, and I thought you guys did a really balanced job, and you covered everything. You know. And
Thank
I'm
you.
sad that-
Thanks.
I-
Thanks for saying that. Thanks. It's a team effort.
I cried at the end, but like I was gonna cry. I knew I was gonna cry at the end, but because the
It's
end-
okay to cry,
Yeah.
as Barlow says, you know?
I just thought you did a really good
Thanks.
job, and I commend you on it.
Thanks for that.
And so my question is, did you get more footage of Hunter? Like, did
No,
you-
that's it. Yeah. Like I said, I put everything in. There's nothing. Well, what happened was, we tried to get Hunter for like a year and a half. We tried every angle, his wife, and everybody. And it was already at the point where I realized I had to start asking people. I had to create a cipher out of him in the film because I was sort of, facing the fact he might not be in it, or the possibility he might not be in it. So then, you see, there's another spontaneous moment with the Weirs, and suddenly I was like, holy shit, this is gonna happen. What do I do? Careful what you wish for, And it's again that thing of we didn't really want a lot of answers for the film, So I thought I was hustling and trying to figure out what to do, and I thought, because he wasn't gonna give us an interview. He would just he actually just said you could come up and film, or actually, that's not true. His wife said you could come up. Anyway, the point is we knew we wouldn't get an interview, so we just kind of were playing it by ear. And then I thought if I do get in front of him, I should just ask him the worst possible question I could ever ask him. So, because I figured, that maybe I'll provoke a laugh or something like that. And because he had already kind of in my mind become the Zen master of the film, and so he doesn't want to. You want to not get an answer from him. So I said to him, you don't see this part, but I said to him, "Listen, Hunter, thanks for letting us talk to you for a second. I know how much you love to dissect and take apart your songs and talk about what they're really about. So I have to ask you, what's Dark Star really about?" That's what provoked that answer. And then he pretty much kicked me out, right after that. Yeah, that was it.
Another cool part was that the storage locker was up in Santa Rosa, and then Robert Hunter was playing right up north also.
Yeah, it was all synchronicity, yeah.
We didn't even plan it. I think we said, I think he's playing up here. Should we stop in? And then
Yeah.
we felt so bad because we showed up with the camera crew that.
Yeah.
You actually caught his essence, though, because he was very much like that, and
So it was all just.
Yeah.
he had an amazing ability. While the band was playing, he would come up to me and he would sing another song in my ear that he was writing at the time. And it would just be so hard for me to understand how he wasn't getting sucked completely into the Grateful Dead thing, but he was separate. And if you asked him, well, Bob, why did you write this or that? He would tell you, I write about you guys and everybody, and he would tell us, and you try to figure, well, what does he mean by that, But he would pay attention to every detail. And he loved to come on the road with us. Remember, he would just love that. And he would write songs out there, very prodigiously. He even wrote songs for the crew he called sea shanties. For us when we were pulling those speakers up. He wanted us to shanties. Lift that bell, all that stuff like that. He tried to get us to do it, but we never did.
Bob, one of the things I talk about in the film is how the meaning of a lyric changes. If you're a Deadhead, as you get older, you sort of grow into understanding the meaning. Was that happening for you as you were singing the same lyrics over decades?
Yeah.
Right.
Word, yeah. But, you get older, you get more experiences, you get a broader understanding of what stuff is about, maybe. And the phases of those songs get more refined. And you have more experiences to relate to this part of that song, and they fill out, and they get plumper and plumper.
Yeah, that's great.
We got to do a whole movie of Rose stories.
Who's got another question? Maybe hi, in the back, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful movie. I'm just curious, why weren't TC and Vince Welnick included in the movie?
Well, there's a lot, yeah. I was just emailing back and forth with TC, and there's a lot that's not in the movie, and I don't have a good answer for it. It's just
4 hours for 5 decades.
Yeah, that's a pretty good answer.
A lot of people didn't want to talk either. A lot of people didn't want to talk.
But also, sometimes, because we felt like we wanted to get through 4 decades, and we knew that you had to, and the only way to drive that is with a lot of story. And so the considerations of a storyteller become different than the considerations of a history lesson. So that's why, for instance, Sam Cutler has a kind of an outsized presence, and that's why, American Beauty isn't mentioned, and, I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, there's some of my favorite songs aren't in the film. We wanted to, in a way, the film was trying to make 2 films at the same time. One film for our community and another film but in some ways the larger consideration was trying to create new Deadheads in the future. And so we figured if we tell a good story, bring people in, and and then they'll find out about TC and Vince and all these other things that we had to leave out because we were trying to keep the story moving, at a lot of times. And that's why you feel us kind of going back and doing Bear at some weird places and stuff like that. It's just the considerations of trying to tell a story, basically. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Who else has one? I don't know if we have. Hi. Sorry.
I don't really want to bring like the. I guess I'll just come out with it. What did you guys do? Like, there's the faith and everything, but like when you guys felt like the hard times come and like we can take so much of it, but like when you feel like really like just like worn down and so tired, like how do you keep like keep going?
Can I answer that, Bob? You might understand, if you watch the film, you're looking at a whole many years, right? And the strength that we have, when anybody says to me, oh, what a great job you guys had, I tell them, I want to do that, I'd love to go on the road with the Grateful Dead. I said, you couldn't have even taken the hours. Because we stayed up every night of our lives, and we got up early in the morning, every day, so did he. And we all had to live our lives and live the Grateful Dead life. So we had amazing strength, is all I can tell you. And we weren't that tired. You're exhausted. When you see that shot in the dressing room, these guys have given everything. They had to let go like that and look that tired, But it was our lifeblood. And Jerry couldn't have lived without the Grateful Dead either. He loved it. Loved it with all his heart and soul.
Another side of the answer to that question is that in our collection of people, usually somebody was having, even if several people were at a nadir, someone was feeling strong enough to pull the cart, and we lean on each other a lot, whether we knew it or not, whether we consciously did it or just it was there and we used that strength. So there were a lot of times when any one of us would probably have quit, but altogether, no, it kept going. I consider that kind of magical.
One thing I learned from you, Steve, the waveform of a Dead show, where there were songs about happiness and exhilaration, and then there were songs about murder and despair, and that's what made it so useful in a way, is because it wasn't meant to be all sunshine all the time, and because that's not how we live, and the reason that the reason you could always connect with this music, and we could connect with each other around it, is because it would kind of not just celebrate the good side of you, but also reach into the tired side of you and say, it's okay, we feel this way too. And also, in songs like Wharf Rat and Jackstraw, you kind of got a feeling that there was a choice you could make at any point. That even though there was a bad side in you, as there is with everybody, or a tired side or whatever, that there's still freedom, And yeah. So, I think sometimes as a community, we get too hung up on always being positive, like in this sort of like almost superficial kind of rainbow unicorn way. Whereas that's the Grateful Dead had shades of all kinds of colors. I mean, you better talk
There's
about
also
that.
something else that when you perform, even in Garcia Band or Grateful Dead or Bobby's bands, there's a thing that happens. When the show is on, you're putting out all your energy. And you're fighting sometimes for the energy, because the audience is sucking it up as fast as you can put it out there. And then, all of a sudden, you're out of the stadium, and you're back in your hotel room, and you could fucking take the world apart, man. You might want to I used to rebuild my room and put nice brass for fittings.
Mister, you're scaring me.
Somebody, never lock Bob Weir in the bathroom of your hotel. Never.
Young lady, did you
knew
have a
that
question,
story.
Ashley? With the white hair you were asking?
Oh, that's why you're so happy.
That's all right, go for it.
Julie.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Go for it.
First of all, I think the movie is fantastic.
Is that Julia? Thank you, Julia.
And, I don't know if it's so much a question as a fan who has perhaps crossed over the line a little few times, maybe a little too exuberant. I feel so sad that our need for what you guys are giving us, our overwhelming ability to just take more and more and more, it just seems endless. And I
Don't feel
feel
sad
bad
about that.
I
Don't
feel-
feel sad about that.
But I feel that it's a paradox. It's that amazing paradox that Jerry would have absolutely loved.
We were thinking about that, Julia.
We drive him crazy. We drove him crazy, and yet he couldn't do anything but.
Not really. He had a plan, Julia. He had a plan. He wanted us to build a place here in Marin, a theater. That's why we bought Marin Keys with extra land, right, Bob? And we were going to build a theater, and his idea was, we'll stay home and everybody can come here, and we would organize it that way.
Well, and now you have Therapy Crossroads, and you
Yeah,
have
exactly.
Clearwater.
Exactly. All that stuff happened.
I also just want to add Rick's Foundation.
Siva.
Say that.
You guys have spawned a nonprofit community of caring, service, gifts, facility rights that is unparalleled in the nonprofit world. And I want to say
Thank you, Julia. We're thinking Jerry would never turn down any benefit. You know, Bob never turns down a benefit. It's so hard sometimes, but
Not true.
we lost that more than that. Anyway. We did it for the Black Panthers a few times, and they were very nice to us.
Steve, I just want to thank Mr. Weir and gang.
Yeah.
Without you, our family wouldn't be what it is. I came out here in 1979 for a show, and I'm still here. And I met everyone I'm close with in my life has to do with the Grateful Dead. And I want to just thank you very much for that. Seriously, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, that's a great note to end on. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Natascha. Thank you, Silberman. Thank you, audience, and thank you, Mark.